The legend of the black-eyed children. It all started one late autumn night in a small town, tucked away in the mountains. The kind of place where everyone knows each other's business and whispers of strange happenings spread like wildfire. But no one could have predicted the horror that would soon grip the town. It was a quiet, chilly evening when Alex, a 27-year-old local reporter, received an anonymous tip. It was about an odd encounter that had occurred the previous night. The caller, who refused to reveal their name, described a terrifying interaction with two children in the parking lot of the local grocery store. The children were described as around 10 years old, wearing outdated clothes that looked out of place even for the 90s. Their skin was unnaturally pale, almost sickly, and their eyes were pitch black, like deep voids in their faces. There was no white or iris, just pure blackness. At first, Alex thought it was a prank. After all, there were always bizarre rumors floating around small towns. But something about this call felt different. Something about the tone in the voice sent a chill down his spine. It wasn't just fear, it was something worse. Intrigued, Alex decided to follow the lead, hoping to write an interesting article that could catch the attention of the local paper. He headed to the grocery store, where he met the man who had called him. The man's name was Greg, and he looked rattled, his eyes bloodshot as if he hadn't slept in days. Greg recounted the details of his encounter. The encounter. "I was just leaving the store," Greg said, his hands trembling as he lit a cigarette. "I had a couple of bags of groceries and it was getting late, maybe around 9 p.m. The parking lot was empty, not a single soul around. As I was heading to my car, I saw them standing by the bushes near the entrance. Two kids just staring at me." Greg paused, his voice dropping lower. "They didn't say anything at first. I thought maybe they were just waiting for someone, you know? But then one of them walked toward me. She was the girl, the one in the red jacket. And when I saw her eyes," he shuddered, exhaling a cloud of smoke. "I've never seen anything like that before. I thought maybe she had contacts in, but no, there was nothing. Just black, pure black, like she wasn't human." Alex leaned forward, heart pounding, sensing that Greg was reliving the nightmare. "She asked if she could get a ride home. And I don't know why, but something inside me told me not to get involved. I've lived in this town all my life, and I've seen a lot of strange things, but this was different. It wasn't just the eyes. Something about the way they spoke felt off. It was almost like they were reading my mind. The words came out like they already knew what I was thinking." Greg's voice trembled. "I told her no. I said I couldn't help them, and that they should go back inside the store and ask for help. But that's when it happened. The boy, the one who had been standing in the shadows, he suddenly stepped forward, and he looked right at me. I swear to God, it felt like he was inside my head. He didn't say a word, but I could hear him in my mind." Alex's blood ran cold as Greg continued, his face pale and drawn. The boy's eyes were the same, black as night, and I felt this pull, this overwhelming urge to let them in, to take them home. But I resisted. I've heard the stories, you know, about the black-eyed children. The black-eyed children. The legend of the black-eyed children is an urban legend that has circulated for decades, with sightings reported all over the United States. The children are typically described as being between the ages of 6 and 16, wearing clothes that seem oddly outdated. They have pale, sickly skin, and most disturbingly, their eyes are entirely black. No white, no iris, just an inky void. The most chilling part of the legend is that these children appear out of nowhere. Usually at night, they will approach people, often asking for help or requesting to be let inside their homes or vehicles. However, the moment you make eye contact with them, a deep sense of dread washes over you. It's said that their presence causes an overwhelming feeling of fear, and that anyone who gives in to the children's demands may suffer severe consequences. The threat Greg's story took a darker turn as he recalled what happened next. "They kept getting closer," Greg said, his voice shaking. "I told them to stay back, that I wasn't going to help them, but they just kept asking. Their voices were too calm, too polite, but I could feel the pressure building, like I had to say yes, like I had no choice. I tried to back away, but when I turned to look, there was no one around. The whole parking lot was empty, like they had vanished, but I could still hear them whispering in my ear, even though they were gone." Greg paused, wiping his forehead with the back of his hand. "I don't know what happened after that. All I remember is feeling like I was losing control, like I was being drawn into their world. I ran to my car, locked the doors, and drove off. But every time I closed my eyes, I could still see their faces. And the worst part? The worst part was when I checked my rearview mirror. I swear I saw them standing at the edge of the parking lot, watching me. The unseen danger. Over the next few days, Alex followed up with other townspeople, but no one had seen the children again. Greg's story seemed to be an isolated incident, but something nagged at Alex. The town had always been known for its strange occurrences, but this was different. The black-eyed children were a legend, something people told stories about, but now they seemed real. Alex drove out to the grocery store parking lot, hoping to see something, anything, that could explain what Greg had witnessed. The night was clear, and the lot was as empty as Greg had described it. As he stood there, a chill ran down his spine. He felt as though someone was watching him. He turned toward his car, ready to leave, when a voice suddenly called out from the shadows. "Excuse me, can you help us?" Alex froze, his blood turning to ice. He turned slowly toward the source of the voice, and there they were. Two children standing near the bushes, their faces obscured in the darkness. And when they looked at him, their eyes were as black as the night. The last thing Alex remembered was running to his car, locking the doors, and speeding away in a panic. The black-eyed children were no longer just a legend. They were real. To this day, no one knows where they come from or what they want, but the sightings continue. People still talk about the children in the town, but it's whispered in hushed tones, and no one dares approach the grocery store parking lot at night. The black-eyed children are still out there, waiting for someone to let them in. And if you're ever unlucky enough to encounter them, you'll be left with only one warning: never make eye contact. This story takes the eerie, unexplainable nature of the black-eyed children legend and brings it to life, mixing personal encounters and urban legend lore. It's meant to leave the reader questioning the reality of these creatures and the danger they represent.